Welcome to another episode of Grain of Salt. I'm your host, Wild Bill, and I'll be bringing you the grain of salt today. The fella that in my makeup department told me, he said, you have a ketchup stain on your shirt. And, I hope that you don't get too caught up on that ketchup stain and you're not that superficial. But I'm doing the best I can. I guess I have an eating problem, and it shows in more ways than one. We won't get into that. But I'd like to talk to you today. I'm going to be, I think, starting up a conversation with myself and this phone, and for whoever wants to participate, about 1 Corinthians. That's kind of where I've been. 1 and 2 Corinthians, actually. And there's some thoughts that come to me that I'd like to share with you. And I don't know. I want to lay a little bit of a foundation for you before we get into 1 Corinthians, and give you some thoughts. What's rolling through my noodle about it. And you might be wondering too, why are we in Studio B so much? Well, the big truck that I drive is having some issues, and I believe that they would hinder your being able to hear me, and there's some turbo issues that are very, very loud, high-pitched, squealing noise. It's just can't even hardly hear yourself thinking there, and hopefully that'll be resolved before too long. At any rate, so before we get into 1 Corinthians, I wanted to, some things that went through my mind about it is how, these people, 1 Corinthians, man, this letter is a huge reprimand to these people. Man, they were falling into so much pagan stuff. Just absolutely looks like Paul's just reaming them out on some things, and so I think that it's happening today in the body. I mean, I think that it's possible that not only possible, but you can see it, that people are falling into pagan idol worship and so on and so forth. I mean, just in the first chapter alone, he talks about how these guys are getting into idol worship and worshiping the one that talk to them or whatever, or I am of Paul, or I am of Apollos, or I am of such and such. And these are things that pagans do. They worship men as gods. And talking about fellas sleeping with their mamas and things of that nature, and and getting into other things that we'll get into later on in the 1 Corinthians, that frankly I kind of dread, I think, getting into it because it's so pointed. And but we need a love for the word more than we love anything, because I'm telling you, there's some things that come up that can offend you from the word, and it just might be that you need to be offended so that you can slide away from those offenses or cut them off. And that's hard to do that. Man, people love their stuff. They love their way. They think that they're right. We absolutely think that we're right. And it's possible that we might be wrong and might need to change. And that's difficult for people. That's difficult for me. But you simply got to do it. And you need to love the word more than you love anything. More than you love, dare I say it, your church and your ideology at your church. The things that are, preached and you've accepted for years. And it's just the way it is. And this is what we do. And, sometimes you might be wrong. Your group might be wrong, and that's difficult. I get it. But you simply have to love the word more than you love your group. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of people to swallow, I mean, Paul over there in 1 Corinthians, he said the word, and I'm paraphrasing here, but the word is foolishness or it's the power of God. And we want it to be the power of God to us. We don't want it to be foolishness. You know, by that, I think what Paul is saying here is that there are things that are in the Word that are foolishness to us, and we change it to fit us. And that is sad. And, you know, and that's why we have what we have today, which is 33,000 denominations and counting from the birth that the Protestants had from the Catholics, and we absolutely are inundated with different doctrines and teachings of men because we didn't like how so-and-so done it, so we changed and did it the way we want to do it. And these things ought not be. We should be people that love the Word, right? And so we want it to be the power of God to us, not foolishness, not moronic. That's the Greek word there. And so and you know, there will be those, just a warning to us, you know, there will be those that come along and will be, you know, they'll, it's possible that we are swayed by so-called wisdom, and you know, the wisdom that comes from these people is dangerous, and their cleverness, you know. And God said in that chapter right there, God through Paul, the Holy Spirit through Paul, said that God is going to set aside the wisdom from below and the cleverness, things that would lead us astray. So he's going to set these things aside. And there will be those that try to sway us with so-called signs and wonders. And that's going to continue, and that's going to be prevalent in these last days. And there'll be lying signs and wonders. And we need to remember that there will be those that try to entice us with signs. And, you know, Jesus himself said the wicked and perverse seeks a sign. And we don't want to seek after signs. We need to be people of the Word. And because looking for signs and wonders and miracles can get you in some trouble. And we don't want to go there. But I'm going to continue on the next video. I love you.